is 8 o'clock on the dot on a Tuesday morning. It is July the 2nd. This is Coffee Talk. We get together 7 days a week in the morning, chat about what's going on in the world of weather. Of course, the big story continues to be this system. Unbelievable. Hurricane Beryl, as of the 8 a.m. intermediate advisory. Still a Category 5 storm with maximum sustained winds of 165 miles an hour. Certainly, we will be discussing everything there is to discuss about Hurricane Beryl through Coffee Talk, but I do want to make sure that we also focus a little bit, at least, on our local forecast, though we will have all of the Beryl information in that bottom left corner the entire time as well. So we'll get right back to the tropics, but it is, after all, a summer's day. Need to make sure that we're taken care of weather-wise here in Central Florida. And it is a beautiful morning. Here's a live look outside. This is our Tower Cam network over at the Orlando International Airport. Looking gorgeous this morning. Over to Disney, I see the Magic Kingdom. There's the Contemporary Resort. It's looking very pretty. Let's head over to downtown Orlando, see what's doing. How pretty is that, right? It's a lovely start to the day. And last but not least, we have more tower cams. I'm just not going to go to all of them. We have to at least see one beach shot, right? That's a pretty shot as we look out toward kind of the Daytona Beach Shores area. So very pretty this morning. Had some late night thunderstorms pop up last night. First warning, live Doppler radar showing that while we're quiet now, there is some stuff off either coast. So it'll be there. We'll have plenty of time to track some rains through the day today. In terms of temperatures out the door, 78 in Orlando. It's 79 in Claremont, 80 degrees in Leesburg. And our forecast today does bring up that coverage of rain just a little bit. Shower, thunderstorm activity, yep. We'll have some of it. It's going to be a hot one too. 93 degrees will be our high temperature today. So let's take a look at Futurecast. Get an idea of where we're headed today. And then we will get to the tropics. Believe me, we've got plenty to talk about there. All right, here's Futurecast. I'll bring it full screen for you. All right. Through this morning, I've got it in the rapid update mode just because I want to see how we're doing. 12:30, still looking good with shower and thunderstorm development. And then afterward, notice starting to see some popcorns here or there, but it's going to be another kind of dinner time frame for those showers and storms today. And everything eventually wants to work out toward the west, okay? So that's kind of where we're at locally. Any other questions, comments, concerns about our local forecast today? Again, and I'll pop up the 7-day forecast just so that we can visualize not just where we're at this morning, but throughout. So today, 93. It's a 50% coverage of showers and storms. It's going to be getting perhaps a little bit warmer late this week. Rain chances by Saturday even go down just a little bit. But all in, it's not a bad forecast. Not a bad forecast at all. So we're watching the storms, making sure we're all up to date with it, right? All right, big story certainly in the weather department is Hurricane Beryl. Category 5 storm system, maximum sustained winds, you see there in the bottom left corner of your screen, 165 miles an hour. Live satellite imagery. This is new frames every minute. And what I'm doing is I'm plotting the wind gusts here. You can thankfully see that the circulation is at a safe distance away from our friends and family in like Puerto Rico. Center of circulation, about give or take 200 or so miles south of Puerto Rico. But you can see, I mean, it's still gusty, 20, 30 mile per hour gusts with sustained winds in the area, running in the 14, 15, nearly 20 mile per hour zone. So it's breezy. In terms of radar, let me switch around. Stand by. Radar, there you are. All right, in terms of radar. All right, there we go. All right, so in terms of radar, there's kind of the shield of rain. It says recent winds. Let me get rid of that. You don't need that. But you can see how, the feeder bands have been hanging south of Puerto Rico. So, they've not been dealing with like the most powerful portion, we'll say, of this storm system. Nevertheless, unfortunately, the same cannot be said for some areas like Jamaica and perhaps even the Caymans. Here's the 5 a.m. cone. We do have the 8 a.m. intermediate advisory, but that does not update the cone. So there's the 5 a.m. cone. It does take the storm system as a major hurricane right toward our friends in Jamaica. So let's just kind of zoom this in a little bit, right? So Wednesday midday, things are probably going to start to go downhill for our friends in Jamaica. I would just say if you have friends or family there, and I forget who was commenting yesterday, somebody was saying, like, if I have plans to go to Jamaica this week, should I cancel? And my response was, it's probably going to be a decision not up to you. Like, I still firmly believe that we should not be going to Jamaica on Wednesday. But there you go. Like midday into the afternoon tomorrow, it's going to be getting rough for our friends in Jamaica. All right. The reason for the weakening, it's a category 5 right now. Notice Tuesday 2 p.m. category 4, Wednesday 2 a.m. category 4, category 3. It's going face first into some wind shear. So the idea here is that it will eventually start to weaken the storm system. We have to see if that actually plays out, right? I mean, the storm system has certainly overdone, overperformed in all of the models thus far. All right, so there's that. All right, let's proceed on. Beyond there, it would be perhaps south of like Grand Cayman, but that would put the rest of the Cayman Islands on the right side, the rougher side of the storm system. And then getting over toward the Yucatan, Belize, um, and Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula by late Thursday into Friday, and then coming back around after that as a tropical storm. Couple of things. I've been sharing like the spaghetti models, and I want to make sure for perspective purposes that we understand. So this is the most recent um, spaghetti models, right? Tropical models, and you're going to notice kind of at the end here this right turn. Um, it's possible that the storm system does want to do that, but I do want you to notice that the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center, while it's starting to edge more to the right, it's a tropical storm and on a weakening spiral. So it's important to note that even though the models are showing a bit of a right-hand turn, the storm system itself would be coming down in intensity. So that's an important part, at least, to take into account. All right. So that's the latest kind of hits, runs, and errors on the storm system. Let's next look at the computer models. And I would add, and I see a couple of you all asking, at 10 a.m. today, yes, WJCL Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Nelson and I will be doing a Tracking the Tropics. We do this during hurricane season every Tuesday at 10. So we will be doing that today. All right. All right. PHYZ1X on YouTube says Beryl is the latest in a long line of storms over the past few years to outperform model predictions. It would seem to me it's time to work on updating our modeling of tropical systems. So before we look at the deterministic models, let's just take a minute and discuss that, right? Intensity forecasting is by far and away the most difficult part. And I would add, in my 22 years of doing weather, we have gotten a lot better at it. I would also add, in my 22 years of doing weather, it's still not good. It's okay. No, you know what? I would say it's still not great. It's good. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done. So here's the intensity models right now. You can very clearly see the consensus brings a pretty steady kind of downhill spiral here. But notice now, there's an outlier that's kind of keeping it in that major Cat 4, Cat 5 status right through landfall around the Yucatan or so. So, you know, intensity modeling is difficult, and it's one of those weak points that we have. Yolanda says, we already felt it in San Juan metro area about an hour ago. Yeah, probably had a good little feeder band move through. Thankfully, though, the core of the storm is staying well south of you, right? All right, so let's do this. Let's start with Futurecast. All right, so this is our Futurecast model. And, you can see the wind field on Futurecast keeping most of the worst winds south of San Juan, right? All right, putting it through time, staying south of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, though getting, closer and closer to that southern um, kind of extent there. And I would add that some of the stronger winds are kind of sneaking out there, right? But let's move over to Jamaica. There's Kingston there on the kind of top left corner. That's Jamaica. I'm concerned for our friends and our family in Jamaica because the models kind of in unison say that this is going to be a very strong storm approaching them. So this is 9 a.m. tomorrow. When we talk on coffee, let's just back it up. Like, here's coffee talk time. This is what the satellite should look like tomorrow morning when we chat on coffee talk. I mean, that's a rough look, right? That's a rough look. So if you have friends or family, and I'm going to pause here for a second. If you have friends or family that live in Jamaica, live on Jamaica, I'd beg you to make sure that they're prepared. Okay. There are tropical storm warnings for the southern part of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. There are hurricane warnings in effect for Jamaica. Again, hurricane warning means hurricane conditions are expected within 36 hours. And then for the Caymans, hurricane watches are posted, meaning that hurricane conditions are possible within the next 48 hours. So everybody's doing their part to try and warn folks. But do they heed warnings? My biggest concern, especially when it comes to like Jamaica and some of these other islands, they don't hit us. It's not a problem. And it's like, they do hit you, right? All right. So anyway, this is a major hurricane according to Futurecast coming through and look at that, making landfall like right on the point there, that eastern point of Jamaica, 1 p.m. tomorrow. Rolling through, and then by tomorrow 8 p.m. moving off the shoreline. And then of course, what's next would be the Caymans. That's 3:30 in the morning Thursday morning, a hurricane. Look at that. I mean, like right around Grand Cayman there. Right? Now, the storm system still strong, but starting to weaken a little bit according to Futurecast. Not a ton, but starting to weaken just a little bit. All right? Then we get over into kind of the Yucatan Passage there. And this is as far as Futurecast goes. 1 a.m. is as far as Futurecast go. I feel like I was literally right there on the ship. But there's Cancun, there's Cancun, Cozumel, there's Tulum. So kind of this is the area that Futurecast at least is saying. Now, I can't take the model any further because it's a more of a mesoscale model, so it doesn't go any further than that. But we can reflect and look at some of the other models. Let's go to the American GFS model. 6Z is the most recent run. Okay, there's the GFS model. All right. Running through, same idea. You're going to now. One thing to point out is the GFS wants to start getting a little weaker quicker than Futurecast. Futurecast wants to keep it a major around Jamaica. Carlos and Charlie's. We were at Senor Frogs over there. What, 2 weeks ago? All right, so that the Futurecast model wants to go stronger into Jamaica. The GFS wants to bring it down to like a Cat 2/Cat 3. And there it goes through Jamaica and then kind of brings it weaker, kind of like a lower end hurricane around the Caymans. So big difference between the American GFS and our in-house Futurecast, right? Futurecast wants to go significantly stronger, longer. That's why we look at model data. All right. And then look at that. We're getting into like a tropical storm on the GFS around the Yucatan Peninsula versus a pretty potent hurricane using Futurecast. So GFS and Futurecast, very, very different. Beyond that, now that's the beauty of the GFS. Watch how it really weakens it. You're looking at a tropical storm, like a low-end tropical storm into the southern Gulf of Mexico. I mean, still an impactful thing, just not as damaging. And then kind of trying to sneak up toward Texas as a depression or a storm. Big rainmaker, gusty winds, crummy weather, yes. but different. Okay, so that's the GFS. Let's switch over to the European. Now, when I looked at the European a second ago, it was just running the 6E, so I don't know how much of the 6E we're going to have. All right, 6E's coming in. Perfect. All right. So, European 6E staying stronger. That's a major hurricane heading toward Jamaica. Okay, so yeah. And the European would put basically the brunt of that major hurricane across almost the entire island by keeping the eye south. It literally puts the northern eye wall across Jamaica, which is not optimal, unfortunately. And then after that, starts to weaken. It's still a good hurricane around Grand Cayman, keeps it south. So the European's definitely a little more of a southerly trajectory here. And speaking of which, it almost goes like right toward like that the Belize Mexico coast. That's as far as the 6Z run goes. I mean, I can pull up the 00Z. Remember, the European every other run goes long, so we'll just yeah, kind of keeps it south, and then interesting that the 00Z kind of brought it back up to hurricane status and then brought it into Mexico. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at with the storm system. Now, ensemble plots always good. Here's the American GFS ensembles. All right. And again, you're seeing most of them starting to take more of a right-hand turn. That makes sense. Um, but, a fairly tight consensus in terms of the idea. Eventually, it kind of turns right, but basically, it's kind of a west-northwesterly path into the, Gulf of Mexico / perhaps the Bay of Campeche, depending on how far south, and makes that right turn. European ensembles, pretty much in alignment. And then when we look at all of the ensembles together with the National Hurricane Center's cone. The Hurricane Center's a little left. They're kind of keeping it a little further south, and perhaps the idea is because it'll be a little weaker. They think that, and they may start to nudge it more to the right. But definitely something, definitely something to watch. So that's where we're at with Hurricane Beryl. It is a quite remarkable storm system. Recon has been in there. All right. So let's see what the recon flight's showing right now. Recon is the reason that we've gotten such great data. Wow. I mean, that's, was that 935 millibars? 934. So 934, 935. Perhaps we've leveled off intensification. That's the hope. All right. So any other questions about Beryl before we move on? Look at that. Noah's doing a core punch as we speak. Or did just a few minutes ago. All right. Any other questions? Is the right turn associated with weakening, or could it say strong and still turn right? Maurice is asking. Yeah, I mean it's possible. It's possible, but there's a lot of wind shear, so it's really, really, really got to. At some point, it's going to weaken. It has to. I mean, it has to. I would say that with all the indications, we knew that the fuel was ridiculous down that direction, right? We knew that that energy was just simply wild. The ocean temperatures are so hot. So we knew that this was going to be a powerful thing. But with wind shear coming in, it's hard to maintain this level of intensity. It just is. So we expect it, and I think that at some point here shortly, it should start to weaken just a little bit. Yeah. All right, so I mean, that's kind of the broader perspective of the storm system. Isn't that something? I mean, it's terrifying to look at. It really is. Emily, I have family in Jamaica, and according to that futurecast, the eye is landing right where they are. So, what strength exactly are they looking at? Well, so for this, we're going to err on the National Hurricane Center's forecast. Okay, so they would be looking at a major Category 3 hurricane with winds of about 120 miles an hour. But the potential is there that it could be stronger. So for family Emily in Jamaica, make sure that they're ready for a big hit. I mean, that's the truth, you know? I wish that I wish that I had news that was less concerning. But look, I mean, I'll and Emily, I don't know if you've hung out much for coffee talk. I'm kind of a pain in the neck about things like I'm not gonna hype. I will never hype. Um, and I'm not the kind of person that will tell you stuff I don't know. I'm going to give you 100% of what I know and 100% of what I don't know. I'm not. All right. So that's kind of where we're at. Yeah. Fifi says I'm in Kingston. So yeah, so I mean, if you're in Jamaica, I would just suggest that you batten down the hatches is the best I could say. Ash is asking, is this cooling the water? Yeah, so upwelling will occur, and so to that point, let's look at the system behind Beryl, which is Invest 96. Really not doing much. Chances of development have dropped. We are now down to a 20% likelihood of development over the next 2 days' time, 30% likelihood over the next 7 days' time. So essentially, this had a good chance of formation. Then, as Beryl got just beastly, it took all the energy, started upwelling the cooler waters. And so, because of that, Invest 96 has been losing its opportunity to really get going. So, to that point, the system behind it, I mean, we are running models, or did. They're not, I don't even know if they're running them anymore. Yeah, I mean, they're there. It's, this thing is basically just doing its thing. So, yeah. All right. Anything to talk about with Beryl resolving like this versus the 20-year anniversary of Charlie kicking off the great hurricane season in August of '04? Joshua, good question. I would say that, you know, each season is different, each year is different, each storm is different, and so we just kind of watch and follow along. But yeah, we remember Charlie. Oh my God, do we remember Charlie? That was my first like really beastly storm that I followed in the TV business, that I tracked in the TV business. So, each storm's different, and we watch. But I'll tell you, this is a remarkable, remarkable, remarkable storm. It's just something else. Yeah. I mean, it really look at that. Look at that structure. It's just something else. And so, yeah, to my friends that are on Jamaica, they just have to be ready for that. This year seems to be throwing curveballs. It's going to be a doozy, methinks. It's probably going to be a doozy. Yeah. For those of you asking about the long range stuff, listen, we put out the forecast and then we kind of sit back and watch things. Is this a recycle of one thing versus another? Let's see. Um, you know, timing fits certain things, but let's just wait and see. I'm not the kind of person that freaks out on model data. I'm the kind of person that watches and comes back in and reanalyzes. So, to the point of discussing the long range forecast, we put out our forecast. Um, Now let's sit back and watch the season go, right? That's all, right? I was married in '04. Charlie was a premonition of how marriage would turn out, a disaster. Oh, Jesus. Cats, tats, and gats. Have you guys done an ACE update? So, no, I will put that together for tracking the tropics at 10. But through this morning, the ACE is at 15.0. The average ACE through today is 2.5. So we are absolutely above that. Yeah. Jessica, do you think we're in for a rough hurricane season? Yeah, look, for the folks that got touched by Beryl yesterday, it's a terrible hurricane season. So, I think it's going to be a rough one. Yeah, for people that are impacted, absolutely. Yeah. Are your predicted hotspots only in the US? Yes, we only forecast hotspots in the United States. Yeah. Cindy, how's that fancy new satellite imagery looking? Well, GOES U that just launched is not operational yet, but it's the same satellite technology you're looking at here from GOES R and T and GOES S. The only difference really in GOES U is its backup. It's another perspective of it, and it gives us sun-based stuff. So yeah, what you're looking at, by the way, that's satellite imagery from every minute. That's a 1 hour loop every minute, which is just ridiculous. I have never in my life, and when these satellites came out, it was like a minute satellite day. I can't even imagine that. But there you go. It takes about 4 months, I think, for it to be operational. Yeah, Cindy, the ripples yesterday in cloud formation were insane. You're seeing the same thing today. I mean, look at those ripples. You're seeing the exact same thing today. And I've got this the brightness turned up now that the sun is up a little bit. Let me tweak the brightness down there. I think that's probably a better vantage point. Now that the sun's up, I don't have to like brighten it so much. Feel bad for citizens and tourists in the affected area. Yeah, totally. The cruise industry was just beginning to recover from COVID. I know. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Yeah. John, I miss OG Coffee Talk with LRC and BSR. Well, but there's stuff to track, and we have to track the things. BSR doesn't work great during the summer, and LRC, the forecast is out. That's it. Jose keeps saying nothing on Andrew. Why would that? What's that? What does that even matter, Jose? This is a Category 5 storm with winds of. This is very close to it. You know, um, it's not going into Miami-Dade County right now, but what does it matter? It's a bad storm, right? Yeah. Headed to Houston for next week. Thoughts? The idea is that whatever this is, we'll end up kind of heading in that direction. Some of the rain, some of the moisture. So let's watch. You know, let's watch it and see. I was there. It matters. I get what you're saying, Jose, but to diminish what the folks in Jamaica are about to get. Look, you want to hold Andrew, you want to hold a candle to Andrew. I get it. Changed building codes forever, but to diminish this storm system doesn't matter. These people in Jamaica are about to get kerslammed. So to that point, it does hold a candle to Andrew because it's going to be an impactful system, right? Those ripples are so nuts, Rita says. So terrible and so beautiful at the same time. Mother Nature absolutely, absolutely never ceases to amaze. Never ceases to amaze. Yeah. Lucas, I thought I saw gusts of 196. Do you happen to see what peak gusts were? I have to look. Yesterday I was off work, so I was just kind of shooting some information out here or there. So I didn't go back and look at like all the data. So I did not. Yeah. All right. All right. So that's kind of where we're at with Hurricane Beryl. Other questions? Angie, any news of them trying to evacuate the islands? Again, I was off work yesterday. I'm going back to work today, so I'll be more dialed into it at this point. Yeah. Yeah. I'll get more information. I've not, but that to say though, like there are hurricane warnings posted for Jamaica. So my hope is that folks are boarding up, shuttering up, getting everything ready to go. So yeah, Angie, I hope so. Troy, I was looking at the upper level and I'm seeing a big trough coming down over the US. Wouldn't that pull it north sooner if it's stronger? Yes. But what's the timing? Like, let's stand by. Let's pull up some raw model data here. Upper air heights. All right. So there's the storm. Yeah, there's the weakness right there. So you've got, all right, so let's back this up. So you've got your big upper level ridge, right? That's the yellows and obviously Beryl's in the blue there. So where that weakness occurs is where it would turn. So the highs sitting there holding firm, but receding. And then by Friday, Saturday, right there's the weakness. Texas, Louisiana, you see that weakness. as Beryl is weakening, it will find that weakness and kind of, shift, we think, up toward like Texas, Louisiana. So that's the reason for it. But yeah, there is that weakness in the upper level ridge. Yeah. If that had happened sooner, this could have been a Charlie type scenario, right? Where it turned much quicker. But again, it's going face first into shear. And so that's why every system that we look at, every single system, is different. It just is, right? And Sydney says trolls are on fire today. Can't imagine joining Coffee Talk with the purpose of arguing. Listen, we have bridges on this earth, which means you need trolls. So such is life. It is what it is. I learned a long time ago working in TV. You just kind of have to deal with it. Beverly says, exactly. I rode through Andrew. Nasty stuff. But hey, Miami-Dade had more resources than Jamaica has now. That's my point. And even if it is strong, even if it is stronger, Jamaica's still about to get kerslapped. And that's not good. And they're isolated. So forgive me for showing some empathy and compassion to people that are about to be in for a pretty nasty couple of days. My bad. Oh, man. All right. Elijah says, I have friends and coworkers that live in Jamaica. Prayers for everyone there. Yeah, I would say so. I would say for the southern Windward Islands, we need to be keeping them in our thoughts, prayers. We also need to be thinking about all the folks that are yet to be impacted, right? Yeah. Lucas says Twitter has some crazy footage of Beryl, storm surge, intense winds, buildings flattened. The footage is incredible, but it's definitely heartbreaking. No, it's true. Forgive me for feeling bad for these people. So that's fine. Trolls will troll. It's fine. Um, let's see here. I love that you have such wonderful work. Well, I try, Susie. You ask my wife, she'll tell you I don't, but I'm doing the best I can. Oh well. Let's see here. Some of those homes are like shacks and they don't have a lot of money. Well, and they also don't have FEMA and other organizations that can really help. So, yeah. Jeannie says giving this troll too much attention. Oh yeah, we have turned off that. We've moved on for sure. So, yeah. That's true. All right. So, that's kind of where we're at. In terms of long-term stuff, let's just look and see if the GFS or anything, let me turn this back around, if the GFS is showing anything down the pike. Surface pressure anomaly. Let's look at the basin. And this is the GFS. And we're just going to look and see if there's anything else. I'll bring it full screen for you, and I'll lose the barrel. But barrel box is fine there. It's not being covered by anything. All right, so let's look at the basin and just kind of see. There's Beryl. Now, interestingly, the GFS may try to want to bring lowered pressure into the Caribbean there, like south of Havana there. That would be 96, not deepening it too much. And then look at that kind of open Atlantic, another little thing. Nothing looking to be too organized. Look at that. By about July 12th, big ridge of high pressure. Boy, if there was a hurricane in the Caribbean in this point, that would be trouble for us. And then after that, look at that. That's like around the Cabo Verde Islands on the right side of the screen. That's the 14th. You get a couple little troughs moving across, but nothing big and terrifying. That's right now. So that's Beryl. All right, so that's the GFS. Let's switch over to the European. We'll go to the long run of the European. Just make sure there's nothing. A couple decent waves. Look at that wave coming off the coast of Africa there on the right side of the screen. Doesn't seem to want to do anything crazy. Hold on. Go there. All right. Yeah, so, all right. Hey, listen. If the tropics want to be a little quieter, I wouldn't mind that. That's just me though. Let things calm down a little bit. Going out of phase a little bit wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, right? All right, recent gusts. Oh, look at that. Gusting 33, 39. Sustained winds. Got to check the data. Got to check the data. Yeah. So breezy, but not too bad. For the Dominican Republic, Haiti, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico. Yeah. I'll take that. Yeah. Have forecasters measured what it takes for a hurricane to form into a Category 6 storm wind speeds? There's no, and everything between, even though a Cat 6 has, so, and tone, There's been some discussion of wanting to make a Cat 6. It's not going to happen. So there's no need for it. There's just no need for that discussion. Basically, that's kind of just the idea. Yeah, Hurricane Center said that's not happening. A group of researchers asked for it, but no, it's not a thing. Yeah. Jessica says storm PTSD is real. I was on the ground doing tree work for Charlie Francis. Oh, for sure. 100%. These are traumatic things. Yeah. Will Beryl pull away some of our moisture and give us a break? Ah, that's a good question. I think it's a little too far away. Yeah, that's a good question, though. Oh, man. Bad is bad enough. It's true. Yeah. Cat 4, Cat 5, it stinks. That's it. It's bad. That's it. Bad is bad enough. All right. All right. I got to run. I got to get to, I just realized what time it was. I got to get to the office. All right. So there you go. Beryl, a Cat 5 hurricane, maximum sustained winds 165 miles an hour. Remarkable hurricane. All right. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. I'll be posting throughout the day. Make sure you're up to date. Thank you so much for hanging out for Coffee Talk. Be tracking some showers and storms today as well. We'll see you. Bye.